have Neha Sharma. Thank you, Neha, so much for your time and to talk on a very interesting topic, which is very important, how to write accessible CSS. Before we begin, some housekeeping stuff from Women Who Code, which we run before every event, code of conduct. So Dub Code is an inclusive community and anything reported otherwise, please feel free to report back to us. We want you to feel safe and this is an inclusive community. Our mission is to inspire women to excel in technology careers. Our vision is to see a world where diverse women are better represented as engineers and tech leaders. Our values include most of the values and where inclusion is at the core, focus on the mission, and our target is engineers with about 2 or more years of experience and looking for support, a closed community, closed cohort kind of thing, and resources to strengthen your influence. And we help you to level up in your careers. Currently, this is where Women Who Code is at. Given the pandemic, this numbers increased because events were digitized and movement currently is focused in catering to a digital world where, given the pandemic, we want to create a sense of belonging while the world is being asked to isolate. You can follow us for upcoming events. So for this year, we have one event today, another one tomorrow. Tomorrow's event is about introduction to React. And yeah, you can follow us on the website, womenucode.com/frontend and on all our social media. LinkedIn is missing. We also have LinkedIn. We keep updating about our events. And yeah, you can always email to frontend at womenwhocode.com. And yeah, some of the links I will paste this Slack, GitHub, blog links. This is specific to the front end community. And today, yeah, we will we will learn from Neha. Yeah, she's an engineering manager in Bangalore. And yeah, she talks about accessibility and during her free time, she does calligraphy, right, Neha? So yeah, show us your calligraphy art as well if we have time. And yeah, really looking forward to the session. And over to you. Before that, just a minute. Yeah, Tester Snyder, you raised your hand. Is there something that you would like to talk, or was that by mistake? Okay. Okay, cool. No problem. So they say it was a mistake, so that's fine. At any time, you have questions, so feel free to ask questions via the Q&A or via the chat, and I will get those questions to Neha. And yeah, over to you, Neha, and looking forward to this talk. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. I will be sharing my screen. Let me know if you are able to see it.
Yes, perfect.
Cool. Thank you everyone for joining so early to attend this talk. And thank you for selecting me to talk about accessible CSS. My name is Neha. Already you know my introduction. So just in a summary, I'm a full-time manager. During my weekend, I do the meetups. So pre-pandemic, we used to do offline meetups and the community was in New Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore. During pandemic, we moved to online events like everyone is doing. And that opened the doors to the world, so which is a very good thing. When I'm not doing any tech stuff, I do enjoy art and calligraphy is my passion. If anyone is in the calligraphy, they can go and check my Instagram and they can just appreciate. This is one of the quote I actually created when I was giving the talk at the Women Who Do React conference. So please, this is my mantra also. Women who invest in themselves go further. When I started my tech journey, I never thought that I will be reaching here. Today, after 12 years in industry, working as an engineering manager, still looks like a dream. Still, I feel that I doubt myself. I think this is by mistake and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, I am here. So it's not a dream, it's not a mistake. So please keep investing in yourself. Today, as you know, I'm going to talk about how to write accessible CSS. But before that, One question I always ask is why web accessibility? Especially in India, from where I am, folks, when I say folks, it means developers or the folks who are investing in the any digital product or project. They doesn't know about accessibility, and there is a myth that accessibility means only disabled folks, and they assume that our end user is not disabled. But one fundamental thing is web is for all. This is a basic human right. Example is the first ever website created is still accessible. And today we are standing here with all the fancy frameworks, all the awesome tools and everything. Still, if you will go back and check the websites or the apps, they are not accessible. Just to give you an example, I did audit of few websites like university applications. During the pandemic, I did the grocery websites audit. I did the pharma website where you can online order the medicines. Every platform was broken. Now imagine during pandemic when the people are living in isolation, they wanted to order medicine, they wanted to order groceries, and they are not able to do it. Whose fault is it? Behind the scene, it's us. Basically, it's our front end developer folks who are responsible for making that website. So please take a step back tomorrow when you log in at your work or today. Just think about when you are coding, what you are shipping on the production, is it accessible or not? Accessibility is very important. But now, how CSS and web accessibility is related? Because if you will go and talk about accessibility, they will say HTML should be accessible. Basically, use the correct HTML, semantic HTML. Then they will talk about the JavaScript front. Then they talk about other stuff. But how CSS is impacting accessibility? This is the one place where I've seen a lot of developers missed out. So that's why I'm gonna talk about it. HTML is skeleton and CSS is skin, which we know, but CSS is very powerful in today's time. You can do so many things with CSS, and if you are doing wrong thing with CSS, again you will be shipping a wrong, non-accessible application. So when you are thinking about accessibility, think about HTML, think about CSS, think about JavaScript, and also think about the designs. So today in this talk, how I have designed this talk is I'm going to give you the high level pointers, for example, typography, colors, animation, and then within that there are subcategories that how CSS is impacting these particular categories. So the first thing is typography. We know through CSS, we do the typography like selecting the font family, font size, font style. But through CSS, these parts, typography could get impacted. How? The first thing is, most of the developers, if you have seen, they work on PX rather than REM, basically absolute versus relative font units. Whenever you are creating any application, always use REM when you are working with the font sizes. The reason is I have given you the two screenshot. Both are on the same resolution basically. But if you will see the first one, the left one, Pasta La Vasta, that is using PX. So on a large screen resolution, you will see that the font is still small, but on the right side, this is the font size is same, but in REM. So what REM does is it try to accommodate the resolution or the zoom settings. I will take a step back to explain you. The folks who are using our systems or any device, they can customize the settings of the font size, colors, and everything. So the system settings which we are using while developing our application and the system setting which a tester is using could be different from the user. So any user can go back on their laptop, change the font size to 100%, and then what will happen? If you have done PX setting, absolute font sizes, then they will get the left side screen kind of experience, which is very bad because the screen is huge, text is small. And on the right side, when you have REM, this is how it will look. So REM is basically flexible. It will control your layout. It will not break. You don't need to worry about that. So always work on REM. Now, one problem come here is when you are working with designer, they will always give you in PX or PT. They will not give you in REM. So if you are on Figma, if you are on Sketch, PS, Photoshop, so what as a developer you need to do? You need to tell them, you need to ask them what is the base font size, and accordingly you can do the changes. Now, one thing at the bottom of this slide, if you will see, I added the impact. When we are talking about these properties, what would get impacted, which particular area? So this font size actually fall in the vision disability. So folks who are having hard sight, who are the old age people who cannot read the small text, those folks will get impacted with this. So the first takeaway is always bet on REM rather than absolute. And this is also very important when you are working on the responsive designs, basically mobile first, which I will talk. The second is font family. We work with the designers and designers love their creativity. There are times when designers actually overflow their creativity and they end up using such cursive fonts. And sometimes they use multiple fonts also. It's definitely, it's a pleasure. It's very, very nice to see that the curviness and everything. But what happened is it's hard to read for a lot of folks. Now the impact is again vision. People who are, they will get struggle to read it with the cursive and more cursive writing, and it will also impact the folks who are having cognitive problems. For them it will take time to understand to them. And one of the thing is accessibility, to make sure that whatever you are serving on the digital product should be accessible to cognitive people also. So when your designers are giving you fonts like this, lot of cursiveness is there and it's very hard to read in one go, please politely push it back and ask them to use better fonts. Second, if they are using multiple fonts, that's a big no. A good practice is every website should have just 2 or 3, not more than that, because again it is going to be very hard to read. Accessibility is not just about the tools, that it should be keyboard supported, it should be screen reader supported. It is also about these things. And through CSS, we know that we control all these things. The next thing is line height. If you will go and read on accessibility at WCAG, who are the official folks who document all the rules around accessibility, they will be there. You will see what I have written in these 4 lines. Basically, it's important to have proper line height or line spacing between the paragraphs, the text you are using. If you will not follow that, what will happen? Either they will be very compacted, or either there would be a lot of space. In both cases, it's not a good experience. So what I have given you is line height at least 1.5 times the font size. So you can just follow this, or you can leave it on the default browser also. So this is very important. The reason, I will give you an example. Newspaper or the news websites, they try to replicate their newspaper, hardcore newspaper behavior on the websites also, which is not a pleasure experience, to be honest, because what they do is they compact all the line heights, as well as the font size also get reduced. And when you try to read it, it's very hard to do it. Again, the accessibility is getting hit. And who are impacted? The folks who are having vision problem, old people, people who have hard eyesight, those, and the cognitive folks. For them, it will take time to understand what is written. In one go, you won't be able to. Now, we are jumping to the second part, which is the content. Again, if you know about accessibility funda is whatever the experience folks without any accessibility issue is seeing or experiencing it, the same the folks with the disabilities should get it. So in short, if I'm visiting an e-commerce website and I don't have a disability, I'm using mouse and normal screen experience. So if my target is to buy one product, and if I'm able to do it in 3 or 4 clicks, the same experience I should be given to anyone who is coming from keyboard, who is using a screen reader. So the content is very important, more than the look and feel also sometimes. content is your primary thing. Example, if you will compare Amazon, there are a lot of threads around it, that the Amazon UI is not great. But if you will see that it's accessible, I have actually, for me, I did a lot of audits, and for me, Amazon is actually at a very good benchmark when it comes to accessibility. So content is very important. But now, how CSS impact the content? So the first thing is display none. Display none is the most frequent used property. So when we are displaying, when we are hide, sorry, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, when we are hiding anything from the screen, we also need to understand that for the screen reader, how the experience would be. So they are, from CSS, there is visibility hidden and there is visibility none. But what we should do is we should also use ARIA hidden true. Otherwise, what will happen? Few screen readers will not able to understand that this particular field is hidden, and they will, all the content is hidden, and they go and speak that aloud. To make sure your screen readers get to know that this particular section or content should be hidden from the screen reader, you should always use ARIA hidden true. I'm talking about the few screen readers here, because few screen readers do respect display none, but there are few they doesn't. So you need to be conscious about that. Impact is screen readers again. Anyone who is using the screen reader, those will get impacted. Now moving to the next. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. We have a question from Andrea. They're asking, what was the word spacing minimum? Yeah, they were taking notes, and
Okay.
it was too slow. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, once you are done with the note, let me know. I will be sharing this slide after this talk also.
Cool.
Once you give me green flag, then I will move ahead.
Yes, I think, yeah, Andrea, the answer is, yeah, word spacing to at least be 0.16 times the font size, if this helps. Yeah, I think should be good.
Okay, awesome. Now moving to the next, the content. This is one of the property people, developers use a lot to customize their HTML and screen. There's a one very popular challenge is going, CSS challenge, and creating complex drawing or stuff by using one div. If you have got the opportunity to debug the code, basically making anything by using one div, they are using before, after, and content. These three properties are the most common one. Now, what happened? If we are adding anything means the content from the content property, screen readers will not able to read it. They will not able to pick it. So for example, if I am adding, as you can see in front of your screen, what I am doing is before H1, I am adding the content through the CSS welcome. So if this is like welcome Neha or welcome ABC, for screen reader won't be able to pick welcome and end up only saying Neha or ABC. So never ever put important content through this CSS content property. It's a big no. So impact is again on screen reader users. So if you are building anything for screen readers, it's a big no. The next thing is bold italic style. This is again the most common thing I used to use a lot. I used to go in the CSS, do this font weight bold or 800, 700, font style italic. I used to do it. But when I was learning about accessibility, I learned that again, your screen readers doesn't understand when you are implementing these styling through CSS, because at the end, this is just a CSS styling. If you wanted to put anything in bold, what you need to do is you need to use the strong tag. For italic, you need to use EM. Screen reader does pick these tags. So when they will come, they will say that the strong, I am bold, italic, like this. Every screen reader has their own way of picking the elements. When I say picking the elements, how they're announcing it. I am on Mac. I use VoiceOver, which comes free with that. You have other screen readers also, so it depends upon which one you are using. but this is overall how your these style tags are. Again, the impact on the screen readers, your screen readers won't be able to pick it. Now you can ask that why it is important, why we can't keep it at the CSS, because this is just a visual representation. And the folks who are the screen reader user, for them it doesn't matter because they are not looking at the screens, they can only hear. But if you wanted, the question is why you want to bold anything, why you want to italic something, because you want to pass out a visual message that this particular thing is important. As I told you earlier also, the experience should be same. So that's why screen reader folks should also get to know that they should know. Example, if there's a summary of an e-commerce website, there are 12 items in your cart, 12 items in bold, then obviously you want it to pass a message. The same message will be get passed to the screen reader users also. So that's why. Next is feature queries. What it is. As we know, CSS is advancing a lot. There are a lot of properties coming, but their cross-browser support is also not so great. And a lot of properties are there which are not ready to use. But as a developer, whenever we are always in the tempting zone, we wanted to experiment the new stuff. And if you are using any new property and it is not getting supported by the other browsers, what will happen? I have seen a lot of developers doesn't understand that we cannot control that if our end user is opening our application in another browser. Yes, putting out a message is a good, but what if you are already supporting few browsers? What if you are building for Chrome, but on Firefox, the folks are visiting your site? You need to address that also, because might be in your commitment it is that you will be giving the website support for Firefox, but if any property is not supported in Firefox, what you will do? So for that, CSS has feature queries. What it does is, as it is in front of your screen, at the rate support, whatever the property you are using, put it here and write that if this property is supported, then what should happen. So for example, if display grid is working in Chrome, then this particular block will run. And outside that, you can just write the normal code. So it will run on those browser where that display grid property is not supported. So this is how you can use feature queries. But why we are talking about it? Again, the accessibility is beyond just supporting tools. It is also about experience. If someone is visiting from Firefox, you use your grid property, which is not supported there, you need to think that how that is gonna be, how that experience would be, because right now you are making Firefox users experience unaccessible. So accessibility is beyond just semantic HTML. It is beyond keyboards and screen reader usage. Now, again, multiple devices, we are reaching to the third category. When you have multiple devices, what you have to do? You need to take care of the responsive one. Now, we cannot cater all the devices in the world. So the best thing is just discuss, look at your analytics and see from where most of the users are coming. Start from the mobile first. Through CSS only you can do it. You don't need HTML there. If you don't have a responsive website and someone is visiting your website on their mobile browser, obviously again the same thing, it's a very bad experience. And it is not just for the folks who are disabled, but folks who are perfectly healthy, they will be also having the bad experience. Again, this is an accessibility issue. So think about the responsive. If your application is not responsive, please go back and pitch for that. We are at these last 2 years is a perfect example that why we should have a responsive website. People are no more, visiting the stores, going out on the shopping. They want everything on their mobile. So please pitch for that. And when you are doing the responsive one, think about the mobile first approach always. Another one is outline. Why I put it in the multiple devices? There's a very funny story I have through my experience. This outline which you are looking at right now, bluish color. In HTML, if you have any focused element or any element which requires user input, will automatically get this blue outline. Now, what are those tags? Those are your input tags, those are your link, those are your button. And this blue line color and style will differ browser to browser, OS to OS. Now, when I was working as a senior developer, my tester gave me a bug that there's an ugly blue line coming around all the links in the application. I was very new, though I was a senior developer, but I was not aware of it much. I went back and I said, this is for accessibility I didn't say accessibility, I said this is for those folks who are accessing your website through keyboard. They said, but it is not required. This is not in the requirement. And they pushed me that I have to fix this issue. I went back and I did outline 0. My bug got resolved, application went on the prod, but what happened that no one actually realizes, we shipped a non-accessible application. Now, anyone who is trying to visit my website, the website where I work, through keyboard, they will never get to know that where's the focus of my keyboard is going. So this blue line, which few people say ugly blue line, this is actually a navigator for the keyboard users. And keyboard can be used by disabled and non-disabled folks. One of the biggest mistake I have found in all the applications I have audited, they always have outline 0. Please never do it. There's a very big saying in accessibility audit, throw away your mouse and do the testing. I would encourage each and everyone you today, go back, pick any of your favorite website. Do not navigate, do not use your mouse. Through keyboard, try to use it. This blue lines value you will get to know only that time only. So this blue line is very, very important. This outline, there's a website outline none 0. Basically, it's a dedicated website that don't do it. Never do it outline 0. Never ever do it. Always have it. You can customize it. If you will go to Amazon, you will see they have the same style. If you will go to the Smashing magazine and you want to see a creative side of how you can make this blue line more fancy, you will see there. But please have this outline. Never do it outline 0. Impact is on vision for sure. People who are they are having a vision problem and they are trying to use it through keyboard, this blue line actually helps them to see where the cursor, where the focus is. Again, this will fall into cognitive to guide them that where their focus is going. And at the last, keyboard. All these are basically falling into keyboard impact. Now, moving to the colors, we know that we do the color setting through CSS. Color contrast is very important in accessibility. I have given you this 2 examples. You can guess by yourself which is easy to read and which is very hard to read. So by your naked eyes, you can also guess. Whenever your designers are giving you designs which is on your left, you know what to do. You need to tell them, sorry, this is not readable. Now, what will happen is might be your designer push yourself. So the good thing is WCAG, they have a guideline around it, that what should be the contrast of the background with the text, first thing. And you don't need to remember it because there are tools which will help you to do it. The one famous tool is Lighthouse, which is available with Chrome by default. You can run that tool. It will tell you that wherever this color contrast accessibility is failing, and all you need to do is just push it, just give it to your designer so that they can fix it. That's the one automated test. Second is you also need to believe on your naked eyes experience that even if the color contrast is getting passed, still if you are feeling it's hard to read, please give that feedback. It's very important. Otherwise, you will be actually shipping a non-accessible website. The impact of this problem would be on vision and the cognitive force, which we know why. Now, the last one, I think, is the DOM order. No, this is the second last. So DOM order and position. CSS is very powerful, I told you. I have done a lot of crazy things through CSS. You give me a layout, HTML, skeleton, and through CSS, I can move it here to there by using the position. And now we have order from flex. But the problem is, the basic problem is, If you are playing with the position, if you are changing the order and the visual look and feel, the positions of the HTML tags through CSS, screen readers will never able to get it. Your keyboard users will never able to get it. If you will disable the CSS, you will still see the same HTML which by default was there, not the one which you were trying to change through CSS. So for example, if you have header on the top, through positions, you move the header to the bottom, your screen reader will not able to get it. The reason is you did a CSS change in the DOM, in the HTML, header tag is still on the top. So never ever play with the CSS positions and order if it's important for the accessibility. Example is here. What I have done is I have three divs. What these three divs is, if the screen reader will come through CSS, basically what I have done is I put the orange one on the top, then the green one, then the gray one. You can never guess. You can never guess unless and until I will show you the HTML that what was the order of this div. Same is for the for the screen reader. They will just follow HTML. They don't go with the CSS. So please do not change the position of elements by using relative or absolute. If you are doing it, then think about how the screen reader user experience would be. And second thing is, if you are doing these changes, then the keyboard focus will be in trouble. So then you need to do an extra layer of work. You need to also fix the focus of the keyboard. So basically, in short, too much work. The best thing is to avoid such situation. Whenever you are using position, absolute or relative, think, do you really need it? If you need it, how the experience would be, what would be the impact, and then take the call. The next one is order. I'm sorry. The next one is order, which is in Flex. So what it does is you can, okay, there are three properties in Flex actually. One is order, there's row direction, there's column direction. All three things, you can order the DOM elements through CSS, how you want them to print. For example, if I wanted my row reverse, through CSS one property, Flex row direction, row reverse. If I want my columns to be reversed, by using CSS, I can do column reverse. By using the order, I can change the order of the elements also. Similarly, like position, visually you can see the row got reversed, column got reversed, but screen readers are not aware of it. They will still end up saying the same thing which is on your HTML. And second thing, keyboards. Again, keyboard won't able to understand your flex direction, your order numbers. They will again work as per the HTML order. So again, when you are using these properties, think, because somewhere you are hitting, you are impacting your accessibility of the application. So think before using this properties. Now the animation. We use a lot of animation. I have seen like a lot of websites, either they are using subtle animation or either they are having a very good animation work. And who doesn't appreciate a good animation? We always cherish such kind of fun things on application. But the problem is there are folks who are not fond of animation. What now, as a CSS folks, we have to think about them. So first thing is the screenshot on the left, any person who is having any disability, they can go to their system and they can do these kind of customization. In this, where I want you to show is on this under display tab, there is reduce motion, the second checkbox. When anyone will check this, what will happen? All the animation will stop. So if you have animation of any kind made by CSS, those animation will get stopped. Example, if you are visiting an e-commerce application, you added an item in your cart, there is a subtle animation of moving the cart, that animation will turn off. Now, why? Not why, but what we should do in such situation as a developer. As a developer, there is a property, prefer reduce motion. What you can do is, which is on your right side at the bottom, you need to tell them that what to do when such kind of property is disabled. So on the top, dot animation is the one where we are saying the animation should happen. In the second one, we can do some other change like the color getting changed or something else. Basically, no animation was there. So these kind of cases we also should take. Now, as a developer, CSS developer, what we have to do? First, identify such animations which you are doing with CSS. Second, ask your designer to provide you the fallback of animations. Third, use prefer reduce motion and put all those things there. This is very, very important because a lot of time we developers actually miss out these animation kind of thing. So this is important. Okay, so just to give you a summary again, there are 4-5 areas: typography, content, color, DOM order, and the animation. These are the 5 main categories which through CSS we can easily control. And what as a CSS developer we should be aware of, that when we are touching these 5 big areas, whatever we are writing should be accessible. And how you can check? These are the small things which you need to be aware. Whenever you are writing a CSS property, just think how the screen readers, how the keyboard users will get benefit out of it, and accordingly you can move ahead. So this is about my talk. I hope this was helpful. You can follow me on Twitter. This is Sharma. Ask me anything, GitHub page. You can ask me there. So yep, thank you so much.
Great. This was so awesome. I just wrote on the chat, Neha saying we should either play truth or dare or never have I ever on the topic of accessibility. I would totally love to do this, because it was so good. We have a question from Sunita. Sunita asks, what tool would you recommend to use to test if you're violating something related to accessibility?
Okay, good question. A lot of people think that this accessibility can be done by 100% automation. It is not true. There are tools available. So the one tool is X. X is very famous one, and it's a extension you can install in any browser. When I say any browser, I'm talking about the latest one, Chrome, Firefox. And another thing is we have Lighthouse Chrome. Lighthouse Chrome actually use X API under the hood, but my suggestion would be go with the Lighthouse. It will give you the score. So the communication between you and your manager and the rest of the peers will be very easy, that what is my accessibility score. Second, it gives you the problems and with solution also. So win situation. So please use X Lighthouse, and then you have Wave Insights. I will ping you here. This is also an extension. And the last one is, after doing these 3 combination tests, please do the manual testing. Know when with accessibility, you cannot ignore manual testing, how the screen reader user experiences, how the keyboard experiences. These things are very important. So you need to do the strategy of automation plus manual testing.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Anyone else has questions? Okay, Sunita has another question. When using rem for font size, it is relative. So do you use the EM to set up base size or pixel?
Sorry, is it when using REM for font size, it is relative. So do you use EM to set? I use only REM. So generally the strategy few developers follow is they set up like one REM as a base and leave it on the browser and the OS to pick it up, which is actually a very smart move. The reason is I showed you how in settings you can change the things. In this case, when you are leaving it one REM, so whatever the default font size a user system has, accordingly it will start picking it up. So one is this strategy. The second I have seen is they don't set up anything, or they will set 100%. 100% is same exactly, that they are saying that font size is 100%, no matter what will happen. And then they start customizing in REM under the under the headings H1 and all that. The other one is what they do is they set it like 16px as a weight of base, which is not a correct strategy. So the Sunita, what you are asking is the base font size is in the OS itself. It's for the browsers also. So if you will just check your Chrome or Mozilla, you will see that they also have the font size 16px. Is there a way to test CSS? Okay, so they you can use Lighthouse. It will pick color contrast, but it won't be able to pick your order issue. It won't be able to give you the multiple font size issues. It will not be able to give you the keyboard focus is broken. So that's why I said that combination is required. Accessibility cannot be done just by tool. You have to do the manual testing also.
Any tips on how to bring accessibility issue to your team if that was not a concern at the beginning? Yeah, this is a very good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. This is one of the, in every talk, few folks ask me. It is not going to be easy. I will be very blunt here. It is not going to be easy. The reason is most of the folks come from the background. If it's in requirement deck, then it's our problem. Otherwise, it's not our problem. What I did is I started doing the awareness. So what I did is when the designs are coming to me, I started pushing them back wherever I saw the accessibility is breaking. First thing. Second thing is in the PR reviews, I started giving the comments that this is not accessible. This is not accessible. This is breaking the accessibility. As a result, what happened is obviously there will be pushback on me. So I started giving them the use cases. There are a lot of use cases in the world, like for US, EU, Canada, there are already accessibility laws. If you are breaking them, then you will get sued. There's a popular Domino's case there. So I started giving these kind of information in my learn and share sessions. And I also started getting the designers, testers, and developers together in a room. It took good time, to be honest, but this is how I started. And then slowly it started happening. Actually, the people started getting into the, in that autopilot mode of taking care of accessibility. Now, if your project is already done, my advice is run Lighthouse tool on that, get the report, share it with your manager, and ask them that these are the accessibility issues, we should fix it, and give few use case studies that these are the laws we are breaking and it could sue, we could be get impacted or sue. This will help you out.
Yes, I was about to write in the chat. The best way to bring accessibility to your team is go and look for a manager who is accessible friendly. But yeah, otherwise it will take a lot of convincing and yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, Neha, for example, yeah, she is a manager and yeah, she likes accessibility. So yeah, you can think of recommending Neha.
To be honest, it's not easy for see, you need, if you think you will go tomorrow and you will say we want to implement accessibility, it's not going to work. You
Yeah.
need to do some homework. So my advice every time is run a Lighthouse code, put it in a doc, then score. Second thing, put some case study to tell them that what would the impact. And the third thing is obviously your managers are going to ask how much time it is going to take.
Yes.
So come up with, so go there prepared and then do the conversation. Yes, no manager will be saying yes in first go. It is us who has to do it. And another thing is once it is good, always move your accessibility to the left, shift left approach. So when the project is getting kicked off and the designs are happening, at that time push as much as accessibility you can.
Yes, I think this was yeah very great session. Yeah, if you have further questions, yeah, you can ask on Twitter for Neha, or yeah, it's like we can also discuss in Slack. Yes, so Neha has further links to where she writes about accessibility. Yeah, this was truly a very great session, Neha. It was so good to see all the real examples, and yeah, I guess we all can relate to it. And when I say this truth or dare or never have I ever, I'm really thinking about this. So don't be surprised if this comes for next year. And yeah, this was really good. Thank you again, Neha. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, let's stay in touch. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Have a great rest of the day and have a great evening. See
Bye.
you.